Hey travelers, welcome to another episode of Life's a Voyage, my podcast where we talk about all things travel, life, business, photography, fun things. Today, Becca is back with me. We just filmed an episode. We're filming another one, and we're going to talk about her road trip from this past summer. Obviously, a lot of people that are listening have been big road trip fans. I've gotten a lot of feedback and questions about my road trip content. We have another car camping episode coming out with my friend Kirsten. I just talked to her about her upcoming trip, so I thought it'd be nice to talk about your trip that's already occurred from last summer. So, hi, Becca. How are you?
Hello. Doing great.
We got some more coffee. Are you feeling
I'm buzzing.
energized?
I'm feeling great.
Good. Okay, so let's get into it with your trip. Where did you go, or what spurred the trip?
So we were just coming out of quarantine and the pandemic and being shut in our house for so long. And
What was the year for reference? It was 2021. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And my partner was a teacher, so she got the summer off, and I was working as a barista, so I was working part-time, and I had the flexibility to take a whole month off. And so we didn't have a lot of money and everything, but we really wanted to do just this big trip. We wanted to do and visit a lot of places, a lot of the national parks that we did get to go to. And we were like, well, why not? If we don't do it now, when are we going to do it? And you're my best friend. I saw you do it, and I was like, we can do this too.
Shit, I could do that.
Hell yeah.
That's my goal is for people to see shit that I do, and I'm like, you could do this too. You should
Mm-hmm.
you should do this too.
It really made something that seemed so unattainable very tactile, and we as we started making plans, it was like, wow, we can actually do this. This is totally feasible.
Mm-hmm. So you're gone for a month, and what was your destination? For example, when we went on our cross country road trip, our destination was the Grand Canyon. Obviously there was lots of destinations in between, but what was your furthest point?
Oh yeah.
And where did you start? Because you are not originally from Rochester.
Right.
So where did you start, and what was your destination?
So we were starting in the DFW area, so Dallas, Texas, Fort Worth, Texas. And the ultimate goal was to get to Olympic National Park in Washington State.
And we got there.
We got there.
We made it. And what was the journey along the way?
Oh, yeah. So, you think you want to go places, and you hype it up, and then all the other places that you didn't hype up just blow you out of the water. Yeah, that's what happened.
Mm-hmm. Did you kind of plan it so it was 2 weeks to get there and 2 weeks back? Because you guys were gone for a month. Mm-hmm. We did ours in about 3 weeks, so we kind of did a giant loop really fast. But did you do 2 weeks to get there and 2 weeks back, or was it broken up differently?
So honestly, the whole planning of the trip kind of came out I started off with how long is it going to take us to drive from here to here, and then how long realistically can we spend at each individual park? Okay, well, this park's smaller, we can spend 2 days here. This park's bigger, we should plan 3 days here. And Olympic, I was very excited about, so I planned 4 days at that park. So that's kind of how the planning and the days came out. It didn't necessarily say, okay, we got 2 weeks and we spend the rest of the time there, and then the 2 weeks back. It just kind of went with the amount of time to get there and how long it took to get there. We could have been out on the road for longer than the month if needed to, but it just happened to fit within a month.
Yeah, it was good timing.
Yeah. So we started off in DFW, and we started our drive. We had a pit stop in Colorado.
Wait, but a pit stop. So you guys left at what time? It was super late at night and drove through the night, or super early in the morning, and then you got to Colorado. And how long is that drive?
I think it's only 6 hours.
Yeah, but you guys left at night.
I think we left early in the morning. Like, we were just itching to go.
It was like 2 a.m. or something crazy.
It was too, like, we were like, okay, let's go to sleep. And then we were like, well, let's leave at this. Oh, no, wait. That was another road trip. That was a road trip here.
I remember that. You guys left at, like, either, like, you drove 6 hours through the night so that you could, like, start the trip in Colorado. Because I kind of helped plan it just a little bit. But I was like, you sure you want to do that? Like, you want to start the trip by, like, driving through the night?
We definitely started early in the morning because the very first day we locked the key in the car and it was daylight. Yep. And that was like 6 hours in and it was like middle of the day and I locked the keys in the car, y'all. If it was going to happen, I'm so glad it happened on the first day.
Get it out of the way. Just get the hiccups out of the way.
Get it out of the way. From then on, I wore my spare key on a necklace on my neck. I was not paying another $100 to get my key out of the
had to
car.
call AAA.
Well, I didn't have AAA, but yes. I had to call a locksmith.
Right. Okay, so we learned that lesson
very
fast.
First day in.
Good.
But our first park, the whole point of this road trip was to do national parks along the way. So our first park was Grand Teton.
Which is in what state?
Wyoming. And
right under Yellowstone.
I cannot tell you how breathless I was. Like, I knew what to expect with Olympic National Park. I knew what to expect with Glacier National Park, which is also where we went. And coming over the crest of the mountain,
no expectations.
I had no idea what Grand Teton National Park was. And it wasn't until that moment that I realized that. And I was completely overwhelmed with the beautiful sight. I was just so awestruck. And I felt so dumb. I was like, of course it's going to be beautiful. It's a national park. What did you were so, I was so, no, I wasn't expecting much of the park. And it probably ended up being one of my favorite parks.
Yeah. You know what happened when we went to Congaree recently? I had no expectations for Congaree. Like, I just was, I'm sure you guys are the same, but, like, me and Adam are just like, we want to go to every park.
Yeah.
Like, that's, like, a goal, like, a checklist almost. And, like, maybe that's a little corny, but, like, we're like, oh, we just want to go to every park. It's on the way. Like, we'll just stop and do, like, a day trip.
Exactly.
And then we got there and we were like, this shit is sick. Like, it's so beautiful here. And it's, like, so funny that, we have those experiences because, like you said, they are national parks for a reason. But it's also, like, a personal, like, you hype things up.
Yep.
Or you have no expectation. Like, it's almost like it's better when you don't have an expectation of it.
I agree.
Or, like, I had really low expectations of the Grand Canyon because everyone's like, it's not as cool as everyone says it is, blah, blah, blah. That shit is sick. Like,
I had the opposite effect. Everyone hyped it up before I went. And when I went, like, I felt like I was so let down.
Well, you also had a shitty Grand
That's
Canyon.
fair.
That's another story.
Don't go to the Grand Canyon in the winter. Don't do it.
Or with random people that you really don't know. Like, not only for safety, but, like, just because it's going to be a shitty experience when you don't know, a 12-hour car ride with a man that you don't know.
It was an experience. I knew him.
Yeah, we're gonna save that for another day. But yeah, the Grand Canyon is insane, and you need to go back because it is.
No, I definitely want to go back.
It's insane.
Next road trip.
Yeah. Where are we going next? Grand Canyon. Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay, so Grand Teton ended up being amazing.
So beautiful. We had fantastic views, fantastic hikes.
What was the weather? What time of the year was it? It was June, I think.
Yeah, it was June.
So it was like summer.
Yeah, it was summer. The sun was shining. It was like, it was in the mountains, and the mountains still had a little bit of snow on them. So it was
Which is what you want.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you want them to be snow-capped.
So it was like, had a nice crisp breeze, but the sun was still shining. Needed a hat. Did not bring sunblock. First mistake. Who am I? I was hiking our first hike. Just like that.
Like a dumbass.
And
I forgot sunscreen.
Yes. The sun was just beating down on me, and that was the point. We picked up sunscreen after that.
Good. That's like one of the things that I didn't realize when we went on our road trip was, different climates. Like, as you're traveling through different climates and different altitudes, like, things are very different. The climate's different. But I didn't realize how much – I brought sunscreen, but I didn't realize how much lotion in general I would need, because when you're, like, sleeping in the car and then hiking all day in the sun, and then not showering every day, and then also, like, in the desert, but then in the mountains, like, your skin is just, like, dry and nasty, and like, doesn't matter how much sunscreen you use, you need to, like, reapply that shit and you're still gonna be dry. Like, we ended up going to the dollar store, like Dollar General or whatever, and, like, buying this giant thing of lotion, because I was like, I feel like a desert myself. Yeah, that was one thing I did not think of at all and learned very quickly.
We were happy to have wet wipes. We use those a lot.
Yeah, we use those too. I use those, like, every night just to, like, clean up a little.
Just a nice little refresher. Like, when we stopped so we slept in my car.
Oh, yeah, let's talk about your vehicle, and then we'll go around to those things.
Yeah.
What car did you take on this trip? This is a car camping trip. Very truly. Like, my car camping trip was, like, a mid-size SUV. This was a car camping.
This is a car. This is, like, a little hatchback, Elantra GT 2016. Look it up. And
I'll insert a picture for those watching.
It was tight. It was a good size for my partner and I, because we're both, like, I'm 5 foot, she's 5'2". So when we took out the bottom seats, the bottom of the back seats, and folded them down, got some plywood, got some cushions, and then some blankets and stuff, and it was perfect amount of room for us. So we slept in my car. That was.
Did you do anything to the car in preparation for the trip?
Yeah, so I had already wanted to do this because I lived in Texas, but the sun would come straight through my windows, so immediately got those tinted because I didn't want people to, like, look in and see us. Yeah. In addition to, like, we also made, like, cardboard cutouts to, like, put up over the windows just in case. I mean, the tints were pretty dark. You couldn't see in, but
I can't back up in her car at night. I can't see anything.
Some regrets about that back window, but it's too late.
It is what it is. Yeah. We can always take them off.
Always take it off.
Yeah, don't drive her car in the night now.
Yes, but definitely got the windows tinted, and I got new tires, made sure I did the oil, brake change, all of that stuff, all the mechanics and upkeep of it before we left.
And did that prove to be, like, a good decision? Like, did you have any car issues on the trip?
No issues.
And it was probably, like, do you know how many miles round trip it was?
A lot.
Probably
I
like
needed to get an
6,000.
oil change halfway through. So there was a lot of miles.
You know what? I was on the car camping episode with Kirsten. We were trying to figure out how many miles we put on for our road trip, and I think I said something absurd, like 10 or 12,000 miles or something like that. But I think I looked back and we'd put like 9 to 10 on my car that trip. I was like, oh yeah, no, it really was a lot of miles.
Yeah, it was a lot.
It's like going across
you need to
the
do
country.
it because you're supposed to do your oil change like every 3 to 4. So it was at least 9, give or take.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about it. I'm like, I want to go again, though. That was insane.
I'd absolutely go again.
Oh, so good, though.
We definitely got these little, like, fans that we hooked. Oh, gosh. So necessary.
We got
like,
the fans,
especially because this summer, like, with the wildfires and everything, like, it hit record highs. Like, it's hitting record highs everywhere. But it's hit.
Climate change. Global warming.
Hit record highs in Oregon and Washington the weekends that we were there, and then from there we were headed to Utah in the desert. So grateful for those fans. So grateful.
You know what's so interesting is that we went on the Oregon trip, right? Okay, so Becca went with us to Oregon. And we went the week before you left, or the day before she left for her.
Yeah, I got back the day before
you left for the
road trip.
Yeah, and so we were in Oregon for a week before your road trip where you ended up going through Oregon again. And at the time, I was like preparing, I was like, pack a raincoat just in case it rains. Like, Oregon's like super moody, blah, blah, blah. We got to Oregon and it was like beautiful weather. It was hot.
Gorgeous.
I was like, I'm sorry, guys. I only packed leggings. I did not expect this.
It was gorgeous.
But it was literally blue skies every single day until the very last
day we
day.
left.
It was insane. And I was like, this is not what Oregon usually looks like. And I was like, my pictures look a little different. But, like, it was insane.
It was beautiful.
But, yeah, scary having that happen in the Pacific Northwest. Not very common. So going on with your road trip, so your car was great, everything was good except for your little key mishap. So after you left the Grand Teton, did you go to Yellowstone? Because that would be the next
we
route.
stopped at Yellowstone, and it was like a really short drive from there. I don't even remember. It was like 1-2 hours, maybe max 3.
I think it's like 2.
Yeah, so quick to get there from Tetons, and that was crowded. And like everyone, like, I mean, it was after everything was just opening up, but still it was pretty crowded and was probably the most crowded of all the national parks that we did go to, even with everything just now opening up and everyone starting to travel some more.
Didn't it have like a weird timed entry? Was that Yellowstone or was that Glacier? A lot of the national parks now are instituting like a timed entry, which honestly, I don't know why we didn't start this earlier.
Yeah.
Like, I remember sitting in the line for Arches National Park for, like, way too long, maybe 30 minutes. So, like, now they have some timed entry things, and they were just starting that because of COVID.
Yeah.
So that wasn't Yellowstone, though. But even though that was the most crowded one.
Yeah. Yeah. But, I mean, when it came to, like, the indoor buildings and, like, probably going to the restroom or the travel store, the gift shop, there was like someone was standing outside counting the number of people going in. You had to wait in line before you could go in, kind of thing.
Same at Crater Lake when we went there.
So there was that.
So Yellowstone was crazy, which I think it's like one of the most popular national
parks.
Yes,
it is. First national park, so it gets the most visits per year.
Yeah. Actually, I could be wrong, but I think it's Great Smoky Mountains is like the actual literal.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's something random because I'm like, why is that? Like, I haven't been to it. And I think I know this because I haven't been to it. But I was like, what's the most popular one? Because I feel like I always see things from, like, certain parks. Like, Yellowstone is really popular. Right. But I think that Great Smoky Mountains in Tennessee or something like that. It could just be Smoky Mountains. There might not be a great on it. I don't know.
I think it is great.
It is great? Yeah. There's so many now. Now there's 65. Isn't that crazy?
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
I'm here for all the national parks.
So one thing about Yellowstone National Park that no one ever prepares you for is the smell. Sulfur. If y'all are not prepared for farts, I'm telling you.
All the time, everywhere?
Everywhere. I was not prepared. My nose was not prepared.
Okay, so for people that don't know, the reason why Yellowstone smells like sulfur is because of the volcanic activity and like the geysers and all of the gases and air coming from deep in the earth. They're like plummeting out into the atmosphere there.
Yep.
So if you don't know, that's why. And we're actually really familiar with that smell because of Iceland, and it's a lot of places in Iceland. If you go to like hot springs, a lot of hot springs have that like sulfury smell, or like even just the water at like our Airbnb the first time we went to Iceland has like that rich sulfur smell because like the volcanic activity or something like that like just pumps that shit up into the water and air.
It's pretty cool, but it's definitely
no one
says it. No one mentions it, and it was cool. It was still really cool despite the smell, and like you get used to it after a while, but
yeah. And it's funny because like you see like all these like TikToks and shit of like people like, oh, look at this beautiful national park, and everyone's like, oh, this shit stinks. Like this is not fun.
Yes.
Like just the smell. But I'm not huge like it doesn't bother me too much, but it definitely is strong. Like definitely something that like will bother some people.
We were disappointed. We didn't get to see a bear or wolf. I mean, from a distance, from a safe distance, we didn't get to see any.
Saw the geyser blow up.
We did see the geyser blow up.
It's like the largest geyser in the world, I think.
I don't know about that.
Because the geyser in Iceland is like 15 feet high. It's like a little like it's a little guy. Like, like it's this huge attraction, and there's like all these like buses like unloading people, and everyone's sitting there waiting to like take a picture with the geyser like this. Like they got their selfies. It's really funny because they're not going to actually see it with their eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And then it blows up every 15 minutes, and it's like, poof. But I heard Yellowstone is very like,
oh
wow.
yeah, no, it was pretty cool. It took a while. Like, so they tell you the park has like a chart, yeah, that tells you which geysers are going to go off at which time. Because, I mean, obviously Old Faithful is faithful and goes off at the same time increments every time. So if you miss this one, it's fine. You'll come back in like, I don't know, what is it, an hour or 2 hours?
Yeah, it's like an hour to 2 hours, I think.
So we're all sitting there like waiting and watching it and everything, and it starts and everyone's like, oh, there it comes, and then it like calms down. We're like, oh, and then it's like, oh, here it comes.
Like the whole crowd,
like the whole crowd is like, oh.
I gotta see that. That's so funny.
And then it finally went off, and it was. And
great. Then everyone's like, woo!
Yes.
Yay! That's hilarious.
It was really cool. It has their waterfall or their Grand Canyon or something. I didn't look up Yellowstone. I really researched Olympic and like Glacier, but like when it came to Grand Teton and Yellowstone and like Painted Hills,
I think I had like told you like these are some things you should probably go see and like do your research and like figure out if you want to see them, because it was like a weird timing with like I was planning the Oregon trip at like the same time that you were planning your road trip, so I was like, hey, I'm gonna help you, but like I'm also like stressed. And I was like, hey, you should probably see these things, like let me know if you need help, but like you were like, no, I got it, like I think it's gonna help me like put the itinerary together, but then I didn't follow up with her like, oh, did you look up this thing? Like she just was like, yeah, that's it, I'm going.
Yep.
Which is it's really probably a great way to go about it, 'cause it's a lot less stressful. And then Glacier was your next stop, which is like the one national park that I just want to go to so bad. Like I feel like Glacier would be like the park for me. I don't know.
Glacier was
the park for me, and I haven't even been.
I don't even have words, and I think that a lot of people have that same reaction.
I'm gonna cry.
Glacier got that pretty boy blue water.
That glacier water,
that
bro.
Glacier water. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Okay, funny story. Not funny.
I know the story already.
So we were driving in. We will never do this again. Y'all, I do not recommend it. Do not drive into a national park at night, especially when you don't know where you're going. We had to drive through Native American land, tribal land, pitch black, going over the speed limit, almost hit a deer, no cell service. Our lives flashed before our eyes, but we were fine. Everything was fine.
I'm like, oh, you didn't tell me this story. This isn't the story I thought she was going to tell.
Anyways, it's not over yet.
Oh.
So we finally because Glacier has east side and west side, right? So we started off on the west side just because we were coming from the south, and we were going to end up going to the east. So we said we're going to start off on the west. So we got to the west side, and because of COVID and like the pandemic and everything, all the national parks were like, this is a great time to do a lot of construction. So we're headed up this long dirt path. And, like, there's gravel and, like, there's just rocks flinging at my car everywhere. There was no one else on the road. And I was like, am I going into someone's backyard? Is this even the entrance to the park? Like, they were like, come this way for Glacier. But there was nothing. And we were driving for miles. Like, the GPS was like, stay here for 30 minutes.
And you were like, this can't be right.
Yes, it just did not feel like it was right. There was no one there. And then we finally get to like the guard station where you're like supposed to check. Obviously, there's no one there because it's like middle of the night. But one half of the road is closed, and I didn't know if that was a bridge. I didn't know if the bridge was going to collapse because there was like construction rope all around it, and I was like, I I don't know where I'm going. I don't trust this. I need light. I don't know. I need to assess the situation. So we just drove up 30 minutes and we turned around. I was like, no, let's turn around. I don't know what's happening here. I don't even know if this park is open on the other side. Like, I don't know what's happening. So we turned around, and as we're about to head down, some other car pulls up, and I was like, roll down your window. You have to ask them. Roll down your window. Ask them. So it turns out there were people who worked there. And I was like, oh,
like,
thank goodness.
Lucky,
thank goodness. Honestly, we got really lucky the entire road trip. We got so lucky. Okay.
I'm like, I would not roll down. I'd be like, go faster. In the middle of the woods in the dark, literally, no lights.
So we asked them, and they were like, oh, yeah, just follow us. And I'm like, oh, yes, okay.
And you did? Yes. The trust, the balls.
Well, they just looked like a bunch of young kids like us. Like, they were probably just working there for the summer. But by this point, we met a group of kids who were working at Grand Teton, and we met a group of kids that were working at Yellowstone. We're like, okay, all right, we're following this. We're keep going. We're going with it.
Yeah, she did not tell me the story before.
So we follow them up, and then we were like, hey, you know anywhere we can? Because we didn't get a tent campground reservation. We're like, hey, can we sleep anywhere? They're like, if you go up there, you should be all right. They were like,
we'll just look the other way. You lucky little bitch.
Yes. Oh, because it was like pitch black, and we were like, keep the lights off. Like, just transform the car into a sleeping arrangement. Yeah. Okay. So in the car, we were sitting up front, and we had all of the packages and stuff and like all our bags in the back. So we had to move everything every night from the back to the front. So we always had to do it like inconspicuously, like shady and like shit. Like, we're not doing this.
Yeah, you can't just be like loud and like obvious about sleeping in the car as two young women.
So
unfortunately.
Yeah, and then the next morning we did our longest hike yet. I think it was like 12 miles.
I remember you texting me that day.
Oh, it was so worth it. I was exhausted, but it was so worth it. Oh my goodness.
So going back a little bit.
Yeah.
Holy crap. First of all, don't talk to strangers. One, don't talk to strangers. But for those people that don't know, if you're not a big national park person, or if you're interested in doing national parks and car camping, most parks have an entrance fee. Actually, we just went to Congaree, and it didn't have an entrance fee, and that was like the first one. I didn't think there was any that were free. They have an entrance fee, and you can get the America the Beautiful Pass, which gets you entrance to all the parks, and it's like $80 a year. But if you go into a park, it has to be a national park, not a national monument. A national park is open at night. So if you enter before the park rangers get to the station, you can enter for free, and you can leave for free. But you would have to finagle like the hours. You have to get there really early. You have to get there. Like, I think that we got to Great Sand Dunes at like 6:30, 7 a.m., maybe earlier than 7 a.m. To get in for free. But we had a pass. That was the first time we learned about it. So that's something really good to know if you're really on a budget, if you have a lot of time, if you're like living in your car, or if you want to do like a really long road trip, you don't even need a park pass if you kind of sneak in and out.
And then when it comes to the timed entry, like we were told that for Glacier, we wouldn't be able to get into the east side without a timed entry. So we showed up at 5 a.m. and we got in.
Yeah, before the park even opened.
Before the park even
opened. So that's like one way around it. And a lot of people don't know that because that's not advertised. Clearly, for a reason, it's not advertised. It's not safe, really, to be in a park overnight if you're not at a campground. But, like, if you get there, like, right before sunrise or, like, right before they're opening, you can usually sneak in and maybe save a few dollars if you're only visiting one park or something like that. So that's just a little thing to take note of, because it really isn't safe to be in most of these national parks at night driving. Like, a lot of the roads, not
okay. Didn't even look like I was supposed to be driving on it.
Yeah, and when, like, I remember the first time I was like, I'm never driving in a national park at night again was Yosemite. And Yosemite is like in a canyon, like in a valley. Yeah, it's a valley. And to get into the valley, you have to go down these really steep mountains.
Yeah.
That was terrifying. And I
Scary.
can't imagine doing it with less light than we already had. So I just wanted to say something about that. As you were talking, I was like, oh, people need to know about this. Don't do this. Okay, and then also one thing to talk about in Glacier is with the water, it's like super clear. Like one of the shots that everyone sees is of like the rocks and everything.
Yes.
Did you do that?
Lake McDonald, which is on the east side. And the rocks are so colorful. Like they look like fruity pebbles. So beautiful. That lake is crystal clear. The other lakes are like a milky blue and like you can't see through them. They look like glaciers.
Yeah.
You know, but liquid.
Yeah, and if you don't know, like if you're listening, if you haven't seen a map of like where Glacier is, think about like Canada. It's like right at the border of Canada. So that's really far north, and that's actually like water, like glacier water coming down, melting from the glaciers of, you know, the snow cap of the fucking polar whatever.
Glaciers in Montana.
Yeah,
just
it's in Montana, but
it's right
on the border. Have you ever seen pictures of Banff, Alberta?
Oh, yeah. Who hasn't?
That
you've seen a picture.
Yeah.
I guarantee it.
That's what Glacier looks like in America. So if you have reservations about leaving the country, Glacier's where it's at. So anyway, moving on. Anything else about Glacier? I totally sidetracked you.
No, you're good.
What about your moose?
Oh, that wasn't Grand Teton. Oh, okay. Backtrack. All right.
So Becca met a moose.
I met a moose.
You don't want to meet a moose. For those
you don't.
You don't want to meet a moose.
So my partner and I, we're trekking up Cascade Canyon Trail in Grand Teton National Park, which is in Wyoming. And this is our first day hiking. This is like our first day actually out and active. And I was dying. Like I was like, oh man, my body was not ready for all the hiking. So I was like behind her, like already fed up. I was tired. So I was just like taking my time. And my partner's been messing with me all day. All day. Love her. But like trying to like scare me and everything. And I look up and she's like, oh no. Like looking behind me and like pointing behind me, and I almost pissed my pants.
Yeah.
I turned around and there was nothing there.
Oh, she played you.
And I turned back to her and I was like, why would you do? She was like, no, turn around. And I was like, oh, fuck, it's going to be a bear. I'm dead. I'm going to die. And I turn around and there's a moose. No shit. 3 feet from me. I don't know how I missed him the first time. I turned around. It was 3 feet from me. And I quickly and as calmly as I could turned back around and just started speed walking to my partner.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I think you have a video, right?
We do have a video, but it's not of me being so close to it.
Right.
Like she had, I mean, like, thanks for being more worried about me and not picking up your phone and video camera.
Right.
Like these people who.
But also, like, why didn't you pick up your phone and video this?
So we got a video of it, like, as we were at a safe distance away, but it kept coming towards us on the path. So we were like, okay, let's just, and then, like, more people kept coming. More people kept coming along the path towards us, towards the moose, and we had to be like, hey guys, like there's and it was a baby moose.
Yeah.
It was not a full-size adult moose, but
and a baby moose is big.
It was towering over me.
Yeah.
And we're like, hey guys, there's a moose coming along the trail, like let's keep going back.
Like
we're like, oh, okay, yeah. But he didn't quite reach us. He like turned off to go to the water. But very cool experience.
Yeah.
Very cool.
For those that are listening, don't ever try to get close to a moose. And actually, what you guys did was put distance between you and the moose. Really good idea. And stay on trails when you're in national parks because you can get lost very fast. But if you can put something between you and the moose, like a tree, it's a really good idea. A baby moose was probably not as quick to charge. Yeah. But they do charge. Yes. And it's terrifying because they're massive animals.
Territorial too.
Yeah. So you want to put distance and maybe something in between you and a moose if you ever
be smart.
Yeah.
Y'all. Come on. Like I saw a giant animal and I was like, oh yeah, I'm not supposed to be here. Yep. Bye.
Do not get close to a moose or any
And
large
you know
animals.
what? Like something was watching out for me because I remember hearing a twig crack when I was passing by, and then like 2 minutes later, Karina was like, behind you. Like I should have been more aware of my surroundings. And like, again, so glad that was the first trail. It wasn't a bear.
Yeah.
XYZ, you know, I just.
Yeah. No, for sure. It's definitely a terrifying yet cool experience.
Yeah,
like,
cool,
it ended
but
good.
also,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But wildlife is one of the things that, like, in national parks and when traveling, like, a lot of people don't account for because we are on their land, not the other way around.
Yep.
So, something to learn about, you know, be aware of. And with bears, like, we grew up in Pennsylvania with bears. So, like, I wouldn't say I'm, like, super scared of bears because I'm, like, kind of used to them. Like, you'd see them in the trash or whatever. I walked by a bear once without realizing it. And, like, yeah, I don't know how I did that, but it's ingrained in my memory now. I was probably like 10 feet away from this bear. Did not see it. I don't know. But definitely, like, if you're not used to an area with large animals and you kind of know, you know, what to do, then just do a little research. Yeah. And that's, like, a lot of the reason why we have, like, take everything with you, like all your garbage and stuff and, you know, bear spray and trash containers that are, like, locked and stuff like that. There's a good reason for all those things.
Good reason for it.
Yeah, I wanted you to tell that because I was like, people need to know that this isn't just, like, you know, it's fun to be like, oh, I want to see a moose. I used to do that, too. I'd be like, oh, my God, I really want to see, like, X, Y, and Z. You know, I want to see a moose. But, like, you need to be aware of what encountering a moose entails. Yeah, like, in a car is usually safer because they're usually not going to charge something as big as them. That's not to say they won't, actually. They have. But it's going to win. The moose will win against your car.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so let's keep going on.
Glacier. Went to the east side.
Did your hike. Went to the beautiful lake. What is it called again?
Lake McDonald.
Lake McDonald, yeah.
Yeah. We just, like, relaxed. We wish we could have. I mean, we had the flexibility to stay there, but at that point, I was like, no, Olympic National Park, let's go.
So excited.
So excited. Little did I know.
She would later find out.
Yes. So we had plans also to go to North Cascades, north of Seattle. However, even on the National Parks website, again, because of COVID and restrictions and everything like that, the park itself and all the buildings and, like, staffing and everything was closed. So you park, like, on the highway and everything to go up the hikes and all the trails and everything. And they were saying that people were taking the catalytic converters from the cars that were parked there. And just, like, my car had all of our stuff in it and, like, valuables and all our possessions, all our food and, like, everything like that. And, like, we needed my car to get home. I could not afford a risk like that. So we were just like, let's skip it. Let's, you know, keep it out. And so we just headed to Seattle for a few days in the Airbnb, grab some Wi-Fi, grab a nice clean shower, some hot food.
Showers.
Yes.
The precious shower.
Yep, did some laundry.
So with that, you're saying, you know, even the National Parks website was warning people to not go to the park because of theft. And that is something that a lot of people also don't mention is that there are people that target national parks and other sites, and you'll see signs that are like, don't leave valuables in the car, this and that and the other thing, because people will just, like, break into your car and steal whatever they can, and they'll, like, target these places because they know that there's a lot of tourists and, you know, a lot of people are naive and blah, blah, blah. So that is definitely, we always check the national park website for each park when we're about to go to make sure you see if there's any warnings. For example, like when we went to Crater Lake, that was during that fire season. So, you know, and it was also early in the summer, so there was still snow. A lot of the roads weren't open, but it would tell you, like, road closure, these trails are open, blah, 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 blah. And, like, the National Park Service is really good about updating the websites and making sure that any important or urgent information that you need is on there. So that's, like, a great resource. So Very smart to
Yeah,
always check
always
that
check there.
right before you go.
Yeah. So then we headed over to Olympic National Park. And don't get me wrong. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I really wanted the rainforesty vibes, and I got it. It was beautiful. However, since I had hyped it up so much in my mind, and that was my ultimate goal to get there, and I'd been dreaming of it for so long, it just wasn't it. After being to Glacier and Grand Teton, it was kind of a letdown.
Didn't hit the same.
It didn't hit the same.
And it's funny because Kirsten and I were talking on this one of the other episode we just filmed, that we don't realize like how much of America looks different. Like America has all these different climates and different like deserts and rainforests and like all this other shit. And you know, you just think of like, I think of fall in upstate New York and, you know, like just whatever deciduous forests.
Yeah.
And then, you know, we're almost like jaded because like, even though that is a beautiful place.
Yes.
I'm so used to like the difference of like these other amazingly beautiful places. So it's funny that you say that, like, because it is a beautiful place. It's just you were then like had in your head all these other beautiful landscapes that are not comparable.
Not at all.
But we still in our heads are like, we're jaded.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, this isn't pretty because like I just saw this, or like, oh, I'm used to this. Because honestly, like Washington State, though it has a lot of the pines and like different like types of trees and all of that stuff, it's pretty like what I imagine America, like my view of America is like New York, Pennsylvania, and Washington State is a little different. I think it's more beautiful, but it's not so far different from like what I'm used to that it's like not like, oh, like this is so insane. You know what I mean? So it's funny that you hyped it up so hard really to have that experience.
Really did.
And you stayed at a campground in the park.
We did stay at a campground. It was a campground on the coastal side. It was like more a campground, and I just, instead of hopping around from one campground to the other, I just got 4 nights at that one campground, just so it was, we knew where we were going to stay. We didn't have to pick up camp and take it down again the whole time. But yes, the most memorable part of Olympic National Park was, I don't even remember what the trail name is. Maybe I'll tell you it after. You could plug it in. I think it was like King's something. Everyone, not everyone knows it, but if you research it, this trail will come up. And it was a 2-mile hike with a 2,000 elevation gain.
So it's short but very hard.
And at the top, you have to use ropes to get to the very top. And in the comments and everything, everyone was saying, like, it's very hard, it's very tricky, like, with the wind, na. And yes, the rope, okay. Before I get to the ropes, let me start with the bottom. It was strenuous. I could not believe I was doing this. It was kind of like inspirational and like,
you're climbing that badass
bitch. Like, look at me. Like I was dying. I was humming and puffing. My face was bright red. But
and I would say that you're like a pretty avid hiker. Like we don't hike often. Like it's not like every week. But like we've done like hikes. Like we hike like long distances and like. But yeah.
So we'll compare to the 12-mile hike in Glacier versus this 2-mile, 2,000 elevation gain. Like that's,
kick your ass kind of hike.
It was crazy, like knees to chest, y'all. And I was not prepared. But we just kept going, and when we got to the top, when we got to the ropes, like remember seeing like we have the All Trails app, so it tells us like the comments, and like I highly recommend the All Trails app because we use that a lot for Glacier because we're like, well, it's snowfall and everything, like what trails are still open, who went. So we were looking for comments about like if the trail was open, did they get to see see anything. Did they need snowshoes or like sticks with the spikes in them or anything? The comments for this trail was that the ropes were dangerous, right? And I was so scared about the ropes, and then, in my opinion, they didn't end up being that bad
compared to the beginning.
Compared to the beginning, I mean, yes, like as you're pulling, like the gravel and like it's dirt and it's like slipping out from underneath your foot, but once you get the hang of it, and there's like 3 or 4 rope pulls, but I think people could definitely do it if they don't.
It's a mind game.
Yeah, it's a mind game. But it was so cool. The view was worth it. Oh my goodness.
That's awesome. I haven't heard of that trail specifically. But I've seen the mountains with my own eyes from a distance. I haven't been to Olympic, but I've seen the mountains. And they're just beautiful. So I'll definitely have to put that on my list. And you know what's funny with like hiking and like strenuous hiking is that I think a lot of times, like, I'll go on all trails or do some research, and I'll be like, strenuous hike, and I'll be, like, prepared. And then I'll be like, nah, this isn't that bad. But when things start to get involved, like bouldering and, like, ropes and, like, things where you require different types of strength rather than just, like, your legs, you got to pull yourself up onto shit. That's when I'm like, okay, maybe this is strenuous. Like, I have no upper body strength right now. So that's really awesome that you were able to, like, conquer that. That's really cool. Yeah. Cool. I'm proud of you.
I loved it. It was really cool with Olympic National Park. Like, they really do have different temperate zones. Like, I thought going in everything was rainforest, but it's not. Like, they have regular forest, I don't know what that's called. Deciduous forest, and then they have rainforest, and then there's the sea, which was really cool.
It's right on the ocean.
Yes.
Rocky cliffs.
Yeah. But that was that. Then we left.
And then you headed home, right?
Yeah.
Kind of almost did a straight shot.
Yeah, kind of almost had a straight shot. We stopped at Painted Hills, which is in, like, Oregon, per your recommendation. Pretty cool, but it was hot.
Yeah, it was just bad timing.
It was very bad timing. So we kind of, we drove in, saw it. We're like, cool, bye. And then we left. We were already so tired. Like that 2,000 incline 2-mile uphill kind of beat our butts.
Yeah. So you were beaten down. You were like, I need to go home.
Yes.
I'm tired.
And then it was hot, and then we were just tired. Like,
so ready to go home too, because now you've been gone for almost like 3 weeks at that point. Yeah.
So
sleeping in a car for 3 weeks is not fun.
Yeah.
Well, it is fun, but it's like hard.
Our backs were not okay. I mean, granted, the first couple of days I was totally fine. I was knocked out. My partner, on the other hand, she was like constantly tossing and turning, which then woke me up. But I fell back asleep so easy. She did not have as easy of a time sleeping in the car as I did, for sure.
I sleep pretty easy in the car, but my neck, no matter what I do, my neck is fucked. Every single time I sleep in the car, I'm like, God, my neck hurts. But that's it.
Yeah, so we ended up in Utah at another Airbnb, and we just kind of, again, showers, wash clothes, pack up everything again, and then we headed to Moab. And we were going to stop at all the parks and everything, but we were just, again, we were tired.
Exhausted.
It was hot. It was just too much. So we went to Arches, and we spent the full day in Arches. And
you did Delicate Arch, right?
Yes.
Which is like the most famous.
The one with the long line of people that you don't actually see in all these photos. Yeah.
I photoshopped them out of mine.
Yeah, we did that one. We did that. Yeah. It was worth it.
Delicate Arch is a beautiful hike.
It was beautiful.
Hard. It's kind of hard. Incline.
Yeah, definitely incline, and like you don't think it's gonna be that hard, and then you're like,
because everyone does it, you know. Like I see, like sometimes when I'm hiking up these like really famous hikes, there'll be like a grandparent next to me. I'm like, I can't fucking let them outpace me. I'm like,
Granted, after all the hikes that we had just done that summer, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, no. That's
so it was pretty. It had prepped us for this.
It's pretty short too.
Yeah, it's pretty short. But that was nice. We like drove around there, grabbed a couple photos. Yeah, don't step on the thing that looks like sand, because is a living organism, and we trampled it all over, like around arches, like the sand and like the earth that you see.
Mm-hmm.
They tell you not to walk on it.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Yep, there's signs everywhere, and
I literally don't remember that at all.
yeah.
When was I there?
It's like it says literally the signs like
2019?
don't step on like the dirt because it's a living organism and like no. And
Oh, I remember what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yes, there is
yeah,
spaces. Yeah. Everyone
I
trampled on
felt
it.
so bad.
Yeah.
Like
That's how I felt the first time I went to Iceland, and I was like, oh my God, this moss is insane. And I was like touching the moss, and then I read a plaque like as I'm touching it, and it's like, don't touch the moss. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. It's like it takes hundreds of years to regenerate.
yeah.
And I was like,
yes.
looked at my hand.
That's exactly how we felt.
Yeah.
Oh goodness.
Yeah.
But you live and you learn, I guess.
Yeah, and I'm sure that you being aware of that and not doing damage, like doing more damage.
Yeah.
Better than like some people that just
don't.
most tourists
and
don't even
continue.
like
Yeah.
blink, you know. They're like, whatever, gotta get my photo, you know, some dumb shit.
So from there, we headed out. We were just like, okay, we're just going to be trucking it back home. Kind of then we were supposed to stop at Mesa Verde National Park, which is in like the bottom corner of Colorado. And actually we did go. We went in, took a photo next to the sign. We went to the visitor center. And we started down the drive and I was like, oh yeah, it's going to take us an hour and 45 minutes to get there. And I was like, do you want to just turn around and go home?
That's hilarious. You didn't tell me that.
We did.
Mesa Verde is beautiful, but dude, it is a lot of driving because it's like high elevation, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Colorado.
Gotta, like,
Yeah. So you like come in and it's like all of these, so mesa means table or whatever. And it's like all these table, land formations and like you have to drive up onto them, which takes like an hour to be able to see anything. Yeah. It's insane. But they have these little, there was like an original settlement of people that like made these like cliff houses. And we did the tour of the cliff house. There's like a free tour.
We didn't get that far.
Or maybe it wasn't free, but maybe it was like $5.
We were just so tired at that point, and it just.
Did you see the horses?
No, I'm telling you, like we.
5 minutes and
yes. Like I got a photo next to the sign because that's my thing. Like that's a lot of people's thing. Getting a picture next to the national park sign, and like I took a photo of it, but I didn't get to see it. Next time. Yeah.
And honestly, like Mesa is one of those parks that I almost forget that I went to because you go there to see the vista and then maybe see the cliff houses, and then other than that, and like there's wild horses and like some beautiful wildlife, but it's kind of like that's the park. It's a lot of that.
Yeah, a lot of very historical.
Yeah, kind of which is super interesting. Yeah, the cliff house is so insanely cool. But it's also like I can't see you spending more than a day in the park.
And then again, after Grand Teton, Glacier, Olympic, like Mesa Verde was just like, I think I'm done.
Yeah, it's like Utah.
Should have started there.
Yeah, it kind of all looks the same at some point. Like when you're like, 'cause we did Utah, Arizona, and New Mexico and Colorado all at the same time. And Utah and Arizona start to look a lot alike. Yeah. It's beautiful, but like it all looks the same at some point. But yeah, so then you headed home.
Then we headed home, straight shot.
Aww. Yeah. And was it like amazing and everything you ever hoped and dreamed?
It was great. No, it was great. It was really fun.
What did you learn? What mistakes, what car camping things did you learn that you did not expect? Like how I didn't bring lotion and I was just a dry little fucking shriveled up piece of crouton.
We had bought in a lot of like snacks and everything that we were like, oh yeah, we're totally gonna eat these. We bought like 242 packs of Cliff Bars, and like we did not eat them.
Cliff Bars, I can't.
Yeah. We realized that.
I take that back. If Cliff Bar wants to ever sponsor me, I like certain types of Cliff Bars. The nut butter ones.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yes, but we got so tired of them after just like they're so good. They really are, but after a certain point we're just like, okay,
you need something else to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're not like a full meal. Like they give you the nutrients you need to like go on a hike, but it's not as satisfying as like eating like a meal.
So they kind of ended up taking up space, and we would see a homeless person. We're like, here you go, have some, at a certain point.
Yeah.
So you over prepare for a lot of things.
Yeah. Yeah, we brought like 2 things of propane for our stove, and we like used our stove like 5 times.
Yes, same.
We like hardly used our stove.
Well, we definitely used our stove, especially more in the end. At the end, in the beginning, we were still afraid to use it. Like, we were like, okay, we tested it out. We know how to use it.
Yeah.
But, like,
it is scary at first.
It is scary.
Because people scare, like, when you're growing up, everyone's like, gas stoves are terrifying. I don't know if anyone else had that experience,
Just
but, like,
us.
yeah, it's just us. Like, our parents, well, at least my parents scared me into, like, being scared of gas stoves. So, like, I'm always like, is it going to blow up?
Yeah, exactly.
Gonna blow my car up?
Exactly. I'm like, the heat, just having them in my car, like in the heat of the summer, we're like, is this okay? Are they going to be all right?
Actually, when we went to Arizona, we took them out. We were staying with a friend of ours, like a family friend, and we took everything out of the car when we were in Arizona because it was like 106 degrees during the day.
Yeah.
And we took all of our food, all of our water, all of our propane, everything out of the car. Because in that heat, holy crap, like you don't know what that's going to do to it.
One thing that was a lifesaver for us was our Planet Fitness membership. We definitely took a few times to park there, and like we slept there overnight. Again, in the parking lot, we're just like shifting all of our stuff to the front seat and then like
crawling to the back. Yeah.
But
I think a lot of people do that for Planet Fitness.
We didn't see anybody else doing it, but we were definitely there doing it.
We've never slept in Planet Fitness, but we've used it for that reason.
So it was definitely a lifesaver stopping there to just get a shower and like feel like a human. It was nice. It was definitely, if you don't want to get an Airbnb or a hotel or anything, like
save
a $20 for the month that you're gone or the 2 months that you're gone, a $20 membership to go to Planet Fitness and like take a shower, worth it.
Worth it, 1000%. I agree. Yeah. Cool. So you're gonna do it again?
Absolutely. I want to do a Utah trip.
Yes. Utah is amazing. I love Utah. I miss it. God, I want to get back on the road now that we have the van. I'm thinking about it.
I'm about to get a van just like yours now. Yes. So much cheaper than like the big what are the big ones that people have?
The transits?
Yeah. So much. And like it's just us two. Like we don't need all that.
Yeah. Us two, me and Becca.
I met my partner and I, you and Adam.
But we could caravan. That'd be
great.
Yeah.
Charlie.
I think I'm going to do a whole episode with Adam about our van and like how much we bought it for. I don't think I've said it yet, but
just did.
Nope, I didn't say how much it was.
I thought you. Yeah.
But it was really, in my opinion, affordable to purchase it compared to like a Ford Transit is like $40,000 or something crazy.
No, thank you.
Nope, don't have that many.
Nope.
But I'll say our car payment is only $179 a month, which is pretty affordable.
That is pretty affordable.
Yeah. So, okay, I guess we'll wrap it up there because now we're talking about other things.
Yes.
But I think people really love hearing about car camping, and I think it's such a valuable experience, and I said this before, but
highly recommend it. It makes a month-long road trip like that so affordable and just in the palms of your hands. Like, you think it's not feasible for you to take a month-long road trip, and then you're like, oh, I can sleep in my car and save so much money.
Thousands of dollars. Yep.
Yes.
I think Kirsten like cut out she cut out like staying at Airbnbs and is only doing campsites, and like that saved her thousands of dollars. And she's doing it solo, so she should stay like at a campsite.
Yeah.
But we stayed in like free places like all the time. Okay, cool. Well, thank you for chatting with me about your trip. We'll have you back again.
Yay.
Thank you.
Bye.